Shalom Akim, your brother Ba'azah from GMS London camp. First and foremost, give all praises and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakotash. Double honors unto the apostles and elders of GreatMillStone. Blessings unto the hopeful letter and the four winds. Just another quick article came across as organicprepper.com. It says uncivil behavior is praised now, and this is how civil wars start. Yeah, man, because we're coming into the time of a lawlessness society, man. Where things are gonna, turn abrupt very quickly, man. After a few more false flag attacks, Esau collapsing the economy, through his so-called New World Order agenda to establish the RFID, the mark of the beast, as the new mandatory monetary system on the planet. Through the process of all the chaos, setting up all these different psyops, like civil unrest, race wars and race riots, class wars, is so forth and so forth. Is his way of bringing forth his agenda to a closing, man. And that, as I always say, the RFID chip, which is the mark of the beast the scriptures talk about, is his coming out party for his new world order, man. And it's already out, but it's not been made mandatory yet to the masses on the planet. But we're coming to that stage, man. It's closer and closer as the days go. We're coming to the time of Jacob's trouble and the time of civil unrest. And this article goes into that. Even Apostle Tar earlier on today put up a video regarding to DJ Trump, saying that violence is going to be spread wide, man. He's advocating for violence in the streets now, because we're coming to that time of peril and death and destruction, man. Total civil unrest. So that's the spirit. I came across this article as well, so I thought I'd just put it up quickly. It says there's something brewing in America since the last election, and that is the complete lack of civility on all sides of the political spectrum. It says uncivil behavior isn't just widely accepted, it's praised and cheered on. It says hatred for one another is becoming the norm. And it says, and this is how civil wars begin. Yeah, man, because, at the end of the day, this is so-called the master plan of these global elites, so-called white man, these so-called Jews, to try and, reach their pinnacle of their agenda, but everything's going to, erupt, and it's not all going to go to their plan, man. Things are going to start happening where they ain't even going to have explanations for, but they're going to try and, get out their troops, their military and all that, to try and, take control of the situation. But things are going to get out of hand very quick, man. And it's not all going to go to Esau's plan. Especially that mark of the beast and the RFID chip, which he's going to ultimately try and bring out in these last days. So that's the spirit that's on the vibration that's on the world right now. It's hate. See, we're not in the spirit of time of love, peace and harmony, especially with all these other nations, because nation of Israel is not supposed to come together with all these other nations in this damn cauldron or cistern of a melting pot Esau created, which is called Babylon the Great, aka America, man. The Lord never meant for Jacob and Esau to come together as well, because the so-called white man and Jacob representing you tribes, Negroes, Latinos and Native Americans, are enemies from the womb, man. So we're never going to come together with these so-called white people or these other nations, because they're inferior, and Israel, Jacob, is superior to all these nations, man, as thus saith the Lord, as it's written in the Holy Scriptures, man. It says so I just wanted to jump down to this main point. Article is quite long, but it says CNN supports Antifa violence. It isn't just high school students who are being cheered for uncivil behavior. It says after violence erupted last month in Charlottesville and Washington DC, Chris Cuomo passionately defended the actions of Antifa, which is another psyop group that Esau set up, to push on civil unrest and protests and all that stuff. So-called organized demonstrations, but things are going to turn unorganized. You're going to have to start having unorganized demonstrations that Esau can't control, and that's why he's going to have to call these troops to come in and martial law and all that to try and control situations, because things are going to start getting hectic, and the shots are going to be coming from everywhere on all sides. And the scripture says the Most High is the King of Terrors, so he's definitely going to be adding to the destruction of America, man, which is Babylon the Great. Most definitely. Apostle Tar always goes into the left and the right of the political parties over the liberals and the Democrats over there in the Americas, representing the left and the right, the liberals and all that, and the Democrats or Republicans, so if you want to call it. So yeah, they're playing a major part as well, because that's going to in turn push this civil unrest, push these race riots and class wars that these elites want to so-called push for their agenda. Says the CNN anchor said there could be no moral equivalency between violence from the two camps. It says, and the outburst from the protesting hate was more excusable. It says than than those promoting hate. It says it's not about being right in the eyes of the law, but you also have to know what's right and wrong in the moral and in the good and the evil. But this America doesn't promote good and evil, man. It promotes total immorality. It doesn't deal with morals no more, man. You know, it never was moral from the beginning, but they tried to say they were God-fearing people, you know, tried to put that onus on themselves. But really, through the times and their actions that they've showed, their deeds, wicked deeds that they've shown throughout the earth and their rulership, being the so-called white man, they don't deal with the good. They just deal with pure evil, man. They put darkness for light and light for darkness, man. You know, they do everything backwards. It says that's why people who show up to fight against bigots are not to be judged the same as the bigots. It says even if they do resort to some kind of petty violence, it says the law will take care of that. Well, you know, there's going to be martial law, because the law's not going to matter no more. It's going to become lawlessness in the streets of America, man. You know. So I'm going to jump down. That was the main point I wanted to bring up with this guy. Basically, this guy here is just another example of violence erupting, or whatever they were saying in the article. It says Christopher Monzon, also known as Chris Condino, says a guy in Miami who was protesting a street name protest. Now I'm not into changing street names or knocking down statues. It says my thoughts on erasing history. It says, but this guy was there just to cause trouble, and that's what Esau has. He has antagonists, you know, people that are, you know, to push the agenda, you know, set up, you know, different situations to aggravate situations and all that, you know, shields and all that, you know, that Esau has out there. His agent provocateurs. It says Monsoon was standing near the entrance to Hollywood City Hall, in front of the police line that separated him from 150 to 200 protesters. Scandino was filmed drawing back and forth with a protester from roughly 10 feet away. It says, "You are a cancer on the face of the earth," Monsoon shouted. "All Jews are." Talking about who? The so-called white man, because really all this that's coming on the earth, the vibration of wickedness and evil on the earth, is because of this so-called white man, because he's in rulership. So the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So that's the vibration that's on the earth right now. That's why everything's totally immoral. You know, you got, you know, the LGBTQ society that's reigning over the whole earth right now. You know, they got more care for them than they do than the normal domesticated peoples on the earth. You know, they got more laws and rights than the average Joe on the roads, man. You know, and that's the vibration of the so-called white man, because he pushes wickedness, and he you know, tries to you know, put bad onuses or shame the light, you know, which is this word, you know, this truth, you know, because that's the only thing that, you know, puts everything into perspective, knowing the laws, statutes and commandments of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua and executing them on the earth, man. That's how you reign in a righteous and moral society, so to speak. But this devil pushes the total opposite, which brothers know, you know, for all these different agendas that he you know, pushes on the earth that are against the scriptures, even LGBTQ and the rest of it, man. You know, so civil unrest is definitely coming, and you know, the actions that Esau is perpetuating on the earth right now. Even Donald Trump said, you know, violence is gonna, you know, immerse on major scales, man. So uncivil behavior is praised now, and this is how civil wars start. And it's all going to start from inside. There's going to be an insurrection, so to speak, with all these different political parties going at it, man. And it's going to spread onto the streets, you know, the domesticated peoples. So I'm going to read two scriptures and then close out. This is Isaiah 19, start from verse 2. It says, "And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians." Talking about who? The so-called white man, because these are the modern day pharaohs and Egyptians that's ruling right now. So it's talking about Edomite versus Edomite, and the apostles always go into this. Apostle Tahar especially goes into this, man, and it says, "I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight every one against his brother. That's talking about civil unrest, man. The scripture says there's going to be sedition amongst men, you know, with swords in their hands, you know, no respect of persons, man, the straight slaughter, you know. It says, and they shall fight every one against his brother and every one against his neighbor. It says city against city and kingdom against kingdom. And like apostles always mention, you know, Satan cast out Satan, how shall his kingdom stand? And that's the times that we're coming in, man. You can see it from these political parties, what effects it's having on the peoples in the Americas, and how they're, you know, inhabiting that behavior, man. And now they're going to start, you know, acting out those violent acts, you know, on each other, man. You know, there's not going to be a striking of words no more. It's going to be a striking of hands and swords, which the modern day sword is the gun. So, you know, expect a lot of dead bodies, a lot of dead body piles to pile up in these last days, man. You know. So anyway, yeah. So I'll jump to the next scripture, or the last scripture, and then I'll close out. Brothers know these precepts. 2 Ezra 15. You know, we call this the civil unrest scriptures, or, you know, the time of Jacob's trouble, because it's definitely Jake that's going to be caught up in this. 2/3 of you niggas, Latinos and Native Americans, are definitely going to get caught up in this when all hell breaks loose with these white supremacists, you know, these preppers and all that. Like, you had that actual website I got it from. It says organic preppers, which, you know, the men of the Lord, we ain't in no prepping. The only thing we're prepping is stay in the spirit. You keep pushing this word of Yahweh Hashem Yahushua to the bitter end, man. That's the spirit we're in. But we ain't prepping no food or nothing like that. You know, contingency plans for that. Our contingency plan is our faith. You know, it says 2 Ezra 15. I'll start with 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. Yeah, we're in a time of great mass death and destruction, man. You know, this ain't the time to be lollygagging, being immersed them and all that. You know, great dangers, impending doom on the way, man. It says, and one people shall stand up to fight against another. Same as the precept I just read in Isaiah the 19th chapter. Civil unrest, race wars, class wars. It says, and swords in their hands. Yeah, which is the modern day gun. You know, people are going to be chefing each other, which they call over here in the UK, which means stabbing each other. You know, shooting each other down, because, you know, you've got masses of different guns out there. You know, Second Amendment over there, that law in Americas. So people are going to be carrying out their you know, their arms and exercising their rights, so to speak, in that day. It says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, they shall not regard their kings nor princes. So even these politicians and these so-called high people in high stature and, you know, high regard in society, they're going to be getting it, man. You know, it says, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Yeah, because there's going to be lawlessness. It says, and the man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. You know, it says, because of their pride, the city shall be troubled and the houses shall be destroyed and men shall be afraid. So these things are coming, man, and this is just the great tribulation that the Lord talks about, man. And it's going to come upon 2/3 of you Jakes and the other heathen that's on the earth, you know, and Esau as well. So these global elites think they're going to just, you know, walk into the sunlight and the new world order is going to be established. They're going to get caught in the gin too. You know, they're going to get caught in their own snare, you know, by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. So verse 19, it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor. Yep, and it says, but shall destroy their houses with the sword. It says, and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So that's what's coming, man. Time of Jacob's trouble is a time of great tribulation on the planet, man. You know, so it's for everyone, man. You know, near, far and wide, and it's not going to stop until this place gets taken out by that nuclear fire, man. You know, so, you know, we just got to stay in high spirits, stay in the faith, keep pushing, man, for the men of the Lord, the hopeful elect. But anyway, I'm going to close out. Give all praises and glory to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Rakakodash, and to the elect I say Shalom.